Hi, I'm Mr. America Shahriz in here with another episode of Tariff USA. We're going to talk about the tariffs. Actually, now it is getting into the work, into the effect. I mean, so far it was just a number, just tough talk, saying 50% tariff, 60%, 80%, 100, 125, 35. It was just a number, like who cares? 200, 2000%, tariff, like who cares? It's just a number. But right now it is coming to the work, and the whole point is like a tariff bar. Let's say we put a tariff on, I don't know, the Tanzania, like any other country in Africa, or like Indonesia, Singapore, Bangladesh, and then they put a tariff back on us. As long as it's on the paper, who cares? The point is when it start to work, like of course, like when you put a tariff on other countries, it's gonna affect the stock market immediately. And the reason is because those investors gonna realize that, okay, the price of their products gonna be more expensive and less people gonna buy that, so therefore the value of their products, they're gonna sell less, so the value of their company gonna go lower because they're gonna have less sell. So you can see the immediate effect on the stock market. But when it comes to the shelf or how many people buy that, like in the physical realm, that is like online realm, like this. Even when you buy let's say oil or gold, you are not buying actual gold, you know what I'm saying? It's just a fiat, it's just a contract, let's put it that way. But right now it is going to the physical world, like we're going to see the effect into the people's life, not on the stock market, not those numbers on the bank account or on the portfolio, but in the real life, like on the shelf in their house, how much they sell it, like you can sense it, like in everyday people's life. And what happens is after those trade war with China, because President Trump, after 1 week after liberation, he put a pause on every country with the exception of China, to put a pause on the tariffs so they can come. That was for the leverage, as a leverage point to bring them on the table so they can talk about the tariff, make it like something fair, like put less tariff on our products. So if you want us to keep our tariff on your products low, but for the China was exception, because China is the biggest country that is exporting to the United States, and President Trump said he's ripping us off. And many Trump supporter, Republican, Libertarian, even those people who supported Trump, they were saying that's a bad idea. And the reason it's a bad idea because there's nothing wrong with the trade. Trade is just tariff is just taxing the trade, and you're punishing people for having business with each other. And that's not the right thing to do. As long as it's a leverage to bring people on the table, that's okay. But if you want to do that, that was an example that David Smith said. It was beautifully, he put it into the word, to the words, which was, if tariff is good, then why don't we keep going using that method in every scale of our life? Why don't we put a tariff on each state trading with other states, and then city with other city, town to other town, and the neighborhood to another neighborhood, until to the household? Like put a tariff on each household to not buy anything from other houses, from other cities, but they have to make it by themselves. And something controversial happens, that right now people think President Trump now has realized that his tariff plan, like he said, the most beautiful word is tariff, is not going to actually work. And let's watch it and then see what he says. That's his basically interview with NBC, if I'm not mistaken.
Said this week got a lot of attention. You were at your cabinet meeting. You said, quote, I'm going to quote what you said, maybe the children will have $2 instead of $30.
Yeah.
And maybe the $2 will cost a couple of bucks more than they would normally. Are you saying that your tariffs will cause some prices to go up?
No, I think the tariffs are going to be great for us because it's going to make us rich.
But you said some dolls are going to cost more. Isn't that an acknowledgement that some prices will go up?
I don't think a beautiful baby girl that's 11 years old needs to have 30 dolls. I think they can have 3 dolls or 4 dolls. Because what we were doing with China was just unbelievable. We had a trade deficit of hundreds of billions of dollars with China.
When you say they could have $3 instead of $30, are you saying Americans could see empty store shelves?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying they don't need to have $30. They can have 3. They don't need to have 250 pencils. They can have 5.
All right, so I'm going to give my opinion. I think President Trump is very good in making deal, art of the deal, whatever you're going to call it. He's a successful businessman in the real estate in New York, and in New York you have to be wolf, you have to be tough. It's not an easy job, you know. If you are not strong enough, you're going to be ripped off. It's not a fancy job, like you don't need to do anything hard, right? It's really difficult. But anyway, so he has been successful. I think he's not elaborating very well with the people, and it helps those people who hate him, especially on the left and the media, and they try to use it against him. The question was very simple, like, are you suggesting that people gonna pay more for the dolls? And he said, no, it's going to be beautiful. They don't need to have 20 dolls. They can have 3 dolls. The answer to her question was yes, exactly. Because if it was at the same price as before, then why would they need 3 dolls instead of 11 dolls? You get what I'm saying, right? So if we are saying they need 3 dolls instead of 20 dolls, we are implying indirectly that those 3 dolls gonna cost as much as 11 dolls, 20 dolls used to cost. You know, like let's say 20 dolls used to cost, like let's say $100, something. You know what I'm saying? Now 3 dolls gonna cost as much as $100, so you're gonna have less. And then the interviewer asked, so we're gonna have empty shelf? And he said, no, it's not gonna be. And then he changed it again to repeat himself about, like, China has been ripping us off, we're gonna do something great, we're gonna help the economy, blah blah blah. I mean, listen, I don't know why President Trump doesn't say, because he has the leverage right now, and he can just clarify that, and everyone who voted for him would defend him and say, yeah, exactly, we're gonna have something more expensive, but with the cost of bringing jobs back, like it's gonna be the cost to pay more for stuff, but at least it's gonna be made in America. We're gonna create more jobs inside America, right? Just say it. I don't know why he feels like it's very difficult to say that. And then the way that you say that, of course, those news outlets that they hate his guts, they're gonna put it like, oh, he said that he doesn't know economy, he doesn't know math. In one hand, he says, no, it's not going to be more expensive. But in other hand, says they don't need 20 dolls, they need 3. They don't. So he doesn't understand basic of the economy. I mean, I don't I think the biggest enemy of Trump is himself. Just say it out loud. Yes, it's going to be more expensive. No, the shelves are not going to be empty. It's going to take a little time, but we're going to create so many jobs inside the United States. Exactly as simple as that. But just beating around the bush, and again, like beating around the bush, it should be for somebody who doesn't have the point. Trump has the point. The point is, yes, it's going to be more expensive. People are going to spend less on, instead of having 20 of this stuff, they're going to have less of it. But then we're going to create everything in here. That's a trade-off. They do trade. You give some, like, I don't know anybody goes to the supermarket and buy something, purchase something, like gets a good, like, you know, let's say, I don't know, let's say buy a chips, you know, a bag of the chips, right? Buy a bag of the chips and get the money in return from the seller. You give money, you get the chip. You don't get money and get the chips at the same time. Do you understand? Like, Trade is like you give something, you get something, right? It's simple as that. Exactly, that's a trade. Like nobody expect that we're gonna bring jobs back, but everything gonna get cheaper. It's impossible. The only reason that is not being created, being made in United States, but instead is being made in China, because in China is cheaper. Think about that. Who would eliminate American jobs, give it to the Chinese for paying higher price than they used to give to American people? The only reason that Chinese market is the replacement, like has replaced the American market, is only because they are offering cheaper price. It's impossible to say they are giving expensive and they are ripping us off. Like, it doesn't make sense. Trade means give something, get something. You don't get the money and get the chip at the same time. Exactly, that's as simple as that. There's nothing magical to it. He shouldn't be embarrassed to say, oh, it's embarrassing to say, yeah, it's going to be more expensive. That's a price that we are paying to heal the economy. Just say it. I don't know why he has to just beat around the bush for something that he has the card, he has the leverage. What he said makes sense. People voted for that. People were okay. Those 80 million people, including me, that voted for him, we knew that in the short term, we're going to have more expensive stuff. We're going to have less stuff. But in return, in few months or 1 year or two, then we're going to have more made in USA. Like more more jobs going to be created in America. That was the trade. Just say it instead of saying everything other than answering. So it gives the leverage to those people who hate this administration to play game with that. Oh, you see, he said, no, it's not going to be more expensive, but also you're going to have less dollars. It means it's going to be expensive, and he doesn't know what he's talking about. Just say yes. And let me tell you something. I've been in the United States for 10 years, and in the beginning, people told me, yeah, 70% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, and I was like, it is impossible. But then, in the beginning, when I came to United States, but after a few years, when I was traveling around the country and seeing more people, meeting more people, getting to know American culture, I realized that, yeah, even if they said more than 70%, I would believe that. Listen, the reason that American people, most of them, they are living paycheck to paycheck is not because America is a poor country. It's not because capitalism is a cruel to the middle class. It is only because people in America, they have bad habit in spending money. They spend too much money. Like, they're addicted in spending money. Like, I literally, I have seen people, they were struggling to pay the rents, but still every weekend they had to have marijuana, they had to have the alcohol, they have to have the money to gamble. Bro, you don't have money for, like, not only they don't know how they can save money, but also they don't know how to, like, at least, let's forget about saving money. At least the money that you have and you want to spend all of it, spend on the priorities. Like, when I see, like, if you're in middle class, you shouldn't gamble. I mean, first of all, as a Muslim, you shouldn't gamble at all. But even if you want it, not as a middle class. If you're middle class, you cannot have the wine, you cannot have whiskey, you cannot beer. It's gonna help you to have a healthier lifestyle. So I have seen people that they really have zero money management, zero time management, and of course, therefore, they're gonna end up having living paycheck to paycheck. And when you look at those people that they say, I wish, or they wish America was run like as a socialist country, and they always compare themselves with the European countries, is only because they are lazy people. They say, look, in those countries, people cannot work and still get money. Why should I work? So it is not because they want to have healthier lives or anything. The only reason is because they want to be lazy and not work. That's it. Do you know why I say that? Because when you look at those European countries, that socialist countries, they take care of the poor. There's no homeless over there. They pay for everyone. Those people who are, for example, jobless, everything is taken care of. you see, at least they have healthy diet. You know, they don't have obsession with eating unhealthy, and it is something expensive. Even though it used to be like healthier stuff should be, they used to be expensive, and fast food, bad food, junk food, they were like cheaper. But right now, junk food is more expensive than healthy food, because it is fast and you have to get back to work. You don't have time to cook, and people don't want to spend time on the kitchen. So that's why there is more demand on the fast food. So the price goes higher because there's more demand. And in that case, I'm saying like, okay, if you want to be like socialist country, start riding bikes to go to do your work. But no, I have to have my own car. Those people do have 2, 3 cars for a family which has like 3 members, mom, dad, son, for example. They have 3 cars. None of those European countries live like they ride bike to a school, to the work. Will you do like that? Will you live like that? They don't eat fast food the way that you do. Will you live like that? You know, they have better, healthier lifestyle, let's put it that way. But so it means it's not about you want to have to live like them. You just want to say, how can I not work and get all the privileges, get all the money, free money, just like those socialist countries? Not necessarily you are impressed by their lifestyle, by their culture. So they pretend like that. They pretend like, oh, we want to be healthy like them. But actually, their lifestyle proves otherwise. So what I'm saying is, the people in America that are living paycheck to paycheck because they're overspending. Just look at, go to any family in the United States, right? Open the door and say, hey, can I see your kids' room? It is flooded with the toys. And then go ask the kid, how many times have you picked one random toy from the corner of the room, and then bring it and say, how many times have you played with this kid? Doesn't even remember. Oh, I had this toy. I never seen that. Forgot, because every day they go shopping, every other day they want something new, and they play with it for 40 minutes and then throw it, and they want something new. That's a bad habit, bad parenting, bad culture, everything. So with this part, I don't see any downside with spending less money on stuff. Like I'm seeing like people every weekend they have to spend money on something. Like even in those European countries, Scandinavian countries that always they are trying to be like them, those people, socialist people in America, when you look at them, they really spend their weekend wisely, even if they want to have fun. But in America, it's somehow like in weekend, they go crazy. People in America on weekend, they go crazy as if it is their last weekend of their life. So with those tariffs, not only actually it helps to bring jobs back to United States, but also it helps people to have better habits. It's true. Like kids have 50 pencils and they're going to use only 3. So just only have 5. If in the end of the day, you're going to use 3. So on that case, I don't see any problem with that. It's going to help people to have better money management, not to live paycheck to paycheck, to understand, to value their money more than before. And also, it's going to help to bring jobs back. So I don't see anything wrong with that. And I really wish President Trump was brief. Like people say, like, if they ask you that, just be clear. You don't need to play game. There's no, those people who don't have anything to say, who don't have any reasoning, they have to play game because they don't have anything. They don't have any card to play with, but you do. So stop. Just stop. No, nothing gonna be more expensive. Everything gonna be great. China is ripping us off. Instead of $50, you can have $3. So it means it's gonna be more expensive. Just be honest and say it. But because if you don't say it, the headline's gonna be like, you don't know what you're talking about, and people gonna panic. They say, oh my God, what if it is true? But if you say no, that's it. We're gonna make sure those stuff, those goods, those products that are necessary, we're gonna lift off the sanction from them, because like you cannot have many of them. But those stuff that are not necessary, you can have less of them and bring jobs back, and slowly give time to those companies so slowly move into United States, and then we put the tariffs. So it is not fair if somebody goes and see Trump in the Oval Office and say, hey, can you put my company in the exception because I don't want to move back, and it's going to pour those small companies that they didn't have privilege to go to the Oval Office, talk face to face to Trump to say, put the executive order to put my business as an exception so I won't face those tariffs. So those people gonna their life gonna be ruined. A small business is gonna go away, but then those companies that are bigger, like let's say like Apple or Amazon, they can go talk, whisper to his ear, and then he would put the exception for them. So the law should be applied for everyone to be fair, to be just. But I understand some of them they are more necessary, and what President Trump can do, give them some deadline. Okay, I'm not going to put a tariff immediately on your product, your company, because I understand it is necessary and people cannot afford that. But move fast with the deadline, not to always be exception, but those ones that they can really easily move into the United States and they won't go bankrupt, so they can it can affect immediately. And if it happens, it's going to be okay, because especially right now after those tariffs war, those verbal wars, like tough talks between China and United States, we cannot fold. Even if we have to fold, we cannot anymore, because the moment we fought against China, China gonna be symbol of resistance and symbol of like, oh, dragon ate the eagle. Let's say we are eagle, right? Dragon ate the eagle, and it's gonna be, first of all, people are not gonna other countries are not gonna take our word seriously, but also the let's call it aura of China gonna go up to the ceiling, to the roof, to the maximum, and people gonna be more excited about having deal with China rather than America, because they say America is just a tough talk. In the end, it was nothing inside. So we have to, even if it hurts us, we have to be man of our words, because we talk too much fighting China. Also for Canada, China and Canada, there are two ones that they called our bluffs, and they have to prove, not to them but to the world, that it wasn't bluff. And in that case, I think we have to keep going with those tariffs with the China until China calls us and then come to the table, and then we can have the better deal. So the thing, like people who are criticizing President Trump negotiation tactic, and they say, why are you punishing people for having trade? I will tell you, for humanitarian reason, means those people, the only reason that Chinese products is cheaper than American product, because we pay full wages to our employees, but they don't to their employees. So our cheaper product that we are getting from the China is as cost of human labors, in better word to say, human slave. Like they are a slave in China. People are not only working; they are a slave. Like in Congo, in China, they're slaves. So to say like, oh, it's so selfish to say, oh, I want my cheaper product. Yeah, at cost of what? You don't want. We are saying America is ripped off by China. Yeah, but those children that are working in those camps, in those labor camps, basically they are slave as well. And they are getting ripped off. So it is not like China has better technology or robots are doing the job, so that's why it is cheaper. It's cheaper because they're ripping off their own employees, own workers. So I don't think it is very, those people who care about humanity to say, oh no, give the job back to the Chinese. Yeah, it's only helping the regime, the CCP, not the people. It's not like people are getting richer by having a project, American project, like a product, produce something for us. That's for one. That was for humanitarian reason issues. But also, as I said, paycheck to paycheck, people are starting to be gambler. Like now, it is people are addicted to the gambling or those type of jobs that in one day they can get millionaire. You know what I'm saying? OF or gambling, all those stuff. So when you see this is bad culture because now people don't want to work anymore. They say, why should I work for 30 years if with one gambling, big gambling, I can win everything? And so the lifestyle, the mindset that work hard for better future is gone. It's like easy money. And I think when bring the jobs back and everything gets more expensive, people are going to go back to work because without middle class, without worker class, society going to collapse. So it's not very sustainable that all of our production, mostly those necessary or unnecessary ones, mostly they are made by adversary, like by our competitor. Us and China, we are in competition with each other. And now we are making ourselves dependent on our rival. So of course, like our competitor, they're gonna take advantage of that. And just think about that. I can prove it to you. In 2020, when it was a pandemic, China realized that they are the only one that they are producing. So they charge every country, including United States, way higher because they were the only one who were manufacturing. So the moment that they realize that you don't have any other choice but China gonna show their true face. Like right now they're acting like let's be friends. They are just friends because they need our market. The moment that they see like we need them regardless, you're gonna see they're gonna show their true face. They're gonna show how cruel they are to us. So make no mistake about that. So in my opinion, it's like we are making us dependent on those people who hate our gods. That's not very wise strategy. So what we should do is bring those jobs back. Something going to be more expensive. Culturally, it's going to be better. We're going to have better time management, money management. Also, the culture we have like kind of like a gambling mindset. Everyone wants to have the quick money, easy money. OF gambling. But if the job is back and everything is expensive, okay, get back to work. Now people are going to get back to work. That innovation will come. We're going to have more Jeff Bezos, more Elon Musk, more even Trump. So that was my take about his interview. I really hope like he already talked with his team to make sure he's sending a good message. Because I think the reason that 2020 started to go downfall, like in 2020 after the pandemic, because he wasn't, even though always he was responsive, but the way that he was formulating his sentences was the way that his enemies, his competitors, Democrats, left-wingers, they could use it against him. And it would panic the people. I know that it's not going to work out anymore because we have seen what they have been doing, we know the tricks, but still it is effective at some point, like to some extent. And I think he should be more clear and more honest. And even if it is the bad news, it is better to be honest with the people rather than to say, no, it's going to be okay, it's going to be okay. Because one of the reasons is, like right now, including myself, now energy cost is way higher than it used to be. I thought everything going to be cheaper. But it is part of his process that he takes. He didn't explain that. He just said everything going to be cheaper. Since day one, everything going to be better. It's not. It's just everything that's getting more expensive. But if he said that, give me 3 months, after 3 months it's going to be better. Because we're going to be disappointed more based on our expectation, not rather than reality. And we expected since day one, we're going to see some changes. But apparently his strategy is long-term plan. He should have been more direct, just like Russia-Ukraine going to be done. I'm going to have the ceasefire. I'm going to have the peace deal in 24 hours. He was saying, even I'm going to have peace deal before I get to the office, before 21st January of 2025, before inauguration. 100 days has passed and we are now very close to that. So it's good sometimes to hype your voters, to give them kind of like exciting news, but I think especially when it comes to the people cost, because that's Russia, Ukraine, you know, like it's far away. But when it comes to the prices, we have to be crystal clear. If not, our enemies, competitors, other eye, they're gonna take advantage of it. That was my take. I hope you like it and give me your feedback. And like always, as above, so below.